Getting an ADHD diagnosis can be truly life-changing for some. For many, actually, it brings a profound sense of relief, clarity, and even a touch of grief as long-held mysteries about themselves finally start to make sense. But once you have that answer, a new, often overwhelming question often arises. Do I tell other people? And if I do, how should I go about it? Sharing your diagnosis can stir up deep vulnerability. It might be wise to consider who truly needs to know, when is the right moment for you, whether you're prepared mentally and emotionally to explain it, or what might happen if someone doesn't understand. In this video, I'll guide you through the process of deciding who to tell, choosing the right time, clarifying your goals before you share, and navigating responses that may not meet your hopes. Hello and welcome or welcome back to Unwinding Minds. If you're new here, hi, it's nice to meet you. I'm Rosie. I'm a chronically ill counsellor based in the UK who specialises in supporting disabled, neurodiverse and chronically ill people with managing their mental health. I also make these videos as a supplement to my private practice as a counsellor, and that is to support everybody in the community, including those who cannot access counselling with a professional like myself. It's important to state, however, that these videos are not a substitute for counselling. They're only intended to support you with psychoeducation. So the first thing to remember, it's your information. Before even considering who to tell, it's important to state that this is your health we're talking about here, and you don't actually have to tell anyone if you don't want to. Your ADHD diagnosis belongs to you, and you are not obligated to tell anyone unless you genuinely want to. Even though ADHD is a medically recognised condition, a neurodevelopmental condition, that doesn't necessarily mean everyone fully understands what it actually involves, and you don't owe anyone an explanation before you're ready. It's also not always possible to explain it to someone who is disinterested in learning more about it. You get to decide who earns access to information about you, how much detail you feel comfortable sharing, and when the timing feels right. It's okay if you're excited and you want to tell the people closest to you right away. And it's also okay if you'd rather keep it private while you process what it actually means for you. There is no right way. Secondly, we are going to talk about deciding who to tell. Not everyone needs to know about your diagnosis, and that's such an important truth to hold on to. Disclosure isn't an all or nothing decision. It's a deliberate and heartfelt choice. Deciding who you want to tell could take some time. Before you share, I'd recommend that you consider taking a moment to pause and ask yourself some honest questions. Who is truly impacted by my ADHD and might therefore be better supportive or more supportive of me if they understand this? Who do I genuinely trust to be vulnerable with? Who feels emotionally safe and supportive enough to trust and open up to? And who might actually gain a better understanding of me by knowing this? For some, that might be a parent or a partner, a handful of close friends, certain family members, or even a supervisor or HR if you're seeking accommodations in your workplace. For others, the answer might be no one, at least for now, and that's also fine. You have every right to move at your own pace. And remember, you can tier your disclosures. You could share a simple, surface-level explanation with some, while reserving the more in-depth and heartfelt version for those that you trust the most. The third component is deciding when you want to tell them. Tricky. The timing of conversations often really matters, so it's worth thinking carefully about when you want to have this conversation with somebody. To decide this, you can ask yourself some questions. Are you still processing your diagnosis, or do you feel ready to talk about it? Do you feel grounded enough to answer any questions, even basic ones? Are you bringing it up in the middle of a conflict, which is usually not ideal, or are you choosing a calm and intentional moment? And is this conversation connected to a specific need, like asking for support, understanding, or accommodations? I'm not saying that you have to wait until you have every detail figured out, but it helps to feel steady. It's completely okay to say, I was recently diagnosed with ADHD and I'm still learning what that means for me. You're allowed to share whilst still in process, of course. The next step is getting clear on why you are telling them. This is one of the most important steps, I think, getting clear on why you're telling somebody in the first place. Before you start the conversation, you can ask yourself what you're actually hoping for. Are you looking for emotional support? Are you asking for accommodations? Are you trying to explain past behavior with new clarity? Or are you simply wanting to be more open about who you are and how your brain works? Your goal shapes the tone, the depth, and the direction of the conversation. If your goal is support, you might like to say, I wanted to share this because I may need a little patience whilst I'm figuring things out. If your goal is understanding, you could say, I've always struggled with time management, just as an example, and now I understand why. And if your goal is workplace accommodations, you might explain, this diagnosis helps to explain some challenges I've had, and I'd like to discuss adjustments that could help me perform at my best. When you're clear on your goal, the conversation becomes more focused, intentional, and less overwhelming. The next step, how do we actually say it? So now that you've figured out who you want to say it to and why and when, it makes sense to figure out how you're going to say it. You can opt to keep it simple when sharing your diagnosis. It doesn't have to be a big conversation unless you feel it will be beneficial to you. You might say something like, I was recently diagnosed with ADHD, or I've been learning more about how my brain works, and ADHD explains a lot. You can also make it relatable, perhaps by connecting it to your strengths. ADHD affects me in some ways, but it also comes with creativity and hyperfocus on the things that I'm passionate about, just as an example. You can also frame it as clarification rather than an excuse. So often when people tell me about their experiences of sharing diagnosis, there's a certain kind of defensiveness I can sometimes pick up on of trying to make it more acceptable to other people. This isn't an excuse, it's an explanation. If the person seems curious or confused, you can always try to gently educate them if you want to. ADHD isn't about laziness or lack of intelligence, it's about how the brain regulates attention, motivation, and executive function. This won't always work, but it never hurts to give people a chance to understand and consider their response to you a bit more. Another approach is to share a more personal example. For instance, I sometimes struggle with deadlines. Not because I don't care, but because my brain processes focus quite differently. Either way, you don't need to give them a TED Talk. Even short, honest explanations are enough. The key here is to figure out what you want to share with them first, and then to say that. Revolutionary, I know. So let's talk about if they don't understand. Let's talk about what might happen if they don't initially understand you, that is. Even with the best will in the world, and with preparation, when we offer information about ourselves to create intimacy and understanding, we also put ourselves into the pathway of being misunderstood or rejected. It's not entirely uncommon for people to struggle to understand what it means to have ADHD, or they may even dismiss an ADHD diagnosis altogether. You might hear things like, everyone has a little ADHD, you seem fine, or why does everyone seem to have ADHD now? That can hurt, so the first thing to do for yourself if this happens and it hurts you is to take a deep breath and remind yourself that their reaction doesn't define your reality. You can respond calmly with statements like, it's more complex than that. It impacts my daily functioning in ways you might not see. Or it's clinically diagnosed, not a trend. Sometimes it helps to set clear boundaries. I don't need you to fully understand this. I just need you to respect that it's real for me. If they're curious but misinformed, you can gently educate them with facts or examples. If they remain dismissive, though, it's okay to step back and just limit the conversation. If the goal of sharing is to feel better, then we come back to protecting yourself and your energy and well-being and validating your own experiences. This is often the hardest part. Not everyone will respond with empathy, and that doesn't make your diagnosis any less real. If someone minimizes it, please remember, you don't have to convince them. You don't have to debate them or debate neuroscience, or justify yourself. You can simply say something like, "This diagnosis has helped me to understand myself better. That's what matters to me." Or, "I'm not asking you to agree. I'm asking you to be respectful." Or you can say nothing at all, and if they continue to invalidate your experiences, it is perfectly okay to limit how much access they have to this part of your life. The next thing is to give people time. Something to bear in mind is that time can change the responses that others have. Sometimes people just need time to adjust to your diagnosis. Especially parents, partners, or older family members, they may have preconceptions or stereotypes about ADHD that they could need time to unlearn. And their first reaction isn't always their final one. With patience, understanding, and space, many people can come to respond more supportively over time. I know I'm talking about negative or challenging experiences a lot, but that's mostly because that's what people are afraid will happen, and it helps some people to be prepared mentally for what they'll do if this is the situation they find themselves in. But there are going to be people who respond to this information well. If they haven't entered your life yet, fear not, the world is full of people who can connect with you on this level. There are going to be people for whom this is fantastic news, because it gives them something that they can connect with you over. Receiving a diagnosis is an important step in the journey of understanding yourself. It's not fundamental, obviously, but many people report that it helps them to accept the struggles that they experience more fluidly. It can help be the push to join a support group, or help with advocating for your own needs, understanding yourself better, building connection to others. It can help you to ask for help and remove shame. Even if some people respond poorly, none of that can be taken away from you. I hope that this video has helped you to consider how you want to share this part of yourself with other people. If you've made it this far, please know that I'm very grateful to you. If this episode's resonated with you, please take a second to like it, subscribe, or share it with someone who might also need to hear this message today. I mean, you never know. You might make a big difference to their life as well. We make a lot of videos about chronic illness, disability, neurodivergence, and mental health on this channel, and I'm always really eager to see what people would like to hear more about. So do let me know in the comments section. Have you told anyone yet? How did it go? And check the description if you're interested in working with me on a one-to-one basis around your neurodivergence, as I do also offer private counselling sessions. Thank you so much for watching, and take really good care.